What's going on, boys, and welcome back to another episode of King Schmuck's drama videos of the week. It's always great to see you guys again, and I know the uploads have been slow recently. As always, we're going to be doing a top list of the drama that happened the past few weeks that I've been away. Not much drama has been kicking off recently because I believe when the King Schmucks on the scene, the Tyrant Kings and the KVK backstabbers go into hiding. As always, like and subscribe if you want to stay entertained and informed on Rise of Kingdoms drama. We've got some amazing segments that were submitted on my Discord, both publicly and privately, about betrayals, Tyrant Kings, and greedy coalitions. My Discord is open for you schmucks, and that is the best way to reach out to me for any complaints or any injustice done in your KVK. We've also been hosting some giveaways, so don't waste any time and join the Discord in the description to get your chance at winning some flux. On to our first segment, we have yet again Ottoman slaps, causing more problems and more havoc. Ottoman is someone that has been featured on this channel before, where he showcased how to not go rogue in a strong kingdom. He's back at it again, but this time he was a king of this kingdom, and the story goes as the following. Ottoman and his allies managed to win their KVK after lots of ongoing battles. Ottoman and his allies had some disagreements during the war, and his allies were failing to fill his rallies. As consequences, Ottoman decided to zero one of their players that was on the wrong territory. But that just made things worse, because that one person that got zeroed went full ballistic on Ottoman and was flaming both him and the country that he comes from. As you can see, things got heated really quickly and it just kept escalating. If you think this was bad, it got much worse. After they won the KVK and secured the star, Ottoman and his team planned and executed a full-on massacre on their allies. They started burning everyone off territory and zeroed countless, and I mean countless, of cities. Obviously, this was unexpected to the allies, so they didn't really have time to group up and counter-push, but by that time, it was way too late, and many of their members got zeroed. Obviously, Ottoman doesn't care for such things or his reputation, because soon later after the KVK ended, he migrated to 1846, a very strong kingdom with some of the strongest players, so I'm kind of curious to see how he behaves over there with the big boys and the big league. The next two segments are about greedy allies, selfish leadership, and a nice lesson for you guys to learn from. This is a familiar story that happens very often in KVKs, where the stronger camp often bullies the weaker camp. In this KVK, it was water and fire versus earth and wind. At the beginning of this KVK, both water and fire agreed that the star rewards should be decided by DKP, rewarding the most active fighters of the camps. But as the fighting went on, something unexpected happened. Water camp, which was usually the weaker side, ended up fighting way more than fire. And this wasn't by choice. The enemy just simply preferred to fight water, leaving fire with little action. In Zone 5, water had more action, and in Kingsland they also had more action. And I'll be honest, according to these screenshots, fire did little to support water when they were getting heat from two camps. They could have at least helped with the field to make sure that their DKP is increasing and they're not falling behind in kills. Now, that's not to say that fire didn't actually lock earth out and then help wind, but it just took some time, and that meant that water got as much DKP as possible during that time. After the war ended and the DKP was concluded, it was shown that water has won the star via DKP as per original agreement. But this is where things get messy. Signs of betrayal start to show, and for some odd reason, Fire Camp Coalition started backtracking from the original DKP agreement and started to make up nonsense reasons to why they think they deserve the star. Like, honestly, this comment in particular is the reason why betrayals even happen in the first place. This comment by Bowley84 is why DKP exists, to shut off all discussions about how each camp feels and instead rely on only data. If data doesn't exist, camp can go on for hours discussing why they feel like they deserve the star, and it could lead to more betrayals because there won't be any common ground. Like, I understand their perspective, but at the same time could be said the other way around. Had water not drained wind camp, they would have lost the KVK entirely, and that is why DKP should be the final say in this particular KVK. And if camps feel like due to the matchup and due to the map they won't be able to get to fight as much, then they need to make it very clear from the beginning that they want to exclude Zone 5 fights or a specific zone fight and make it only about Kingsland. you simply cannot backtrack after initially agreeing that DKP will be the sole choice for the star and then decide to switch your stance after the DKP is concluded. Now this is where we get to the betrayal part. I have my own opinion on what happened, but you guys can simply write down in the comment section what you guys think and who really betrayed in this KVK, because both camps are pointing fingers at each other and saying both sides are betraying. A chat between Fire Camp's coalition leader and Water Camp's coalition leader opened up, and Fire Camp's coalition leader basically said that DKP shouldn't be the main factor to determine who wins the star, backtracking from the original agreement. A bunch of back and forth basically happened between them, and Water Camp's leader started to fold under the pressure. He kept asking the same question over and over again, asking if Fire Camp will betray them and burn their flags if they decline the negotiation and stick to the original agreement. But Fire Camp's leader just kept refusing to answer that question. He kept ignoring it, which I think made Water Camp's coalition leader panic even more and confirm his suspicion that Fire Camp will end up betraying them for this star. I guess from his perspective, Water Camp is completely drained, out of resources and speed ups, and they would rather at least keep some rewards instead of getting betrayed and getting kicked out of Kingsland. So after some time he agreed to give up the star to Fire and accepted their terms, but actually behind the scene he complained to his former enemies, Earth and Wind, telling them that Fire Camp wasn't being fair and are backtracking from the original agreement. And in Water Camp's perspective, Fire Camp is just being a bully and basically pressuring them because they are now drained and no longer can sustain themselves, and Fire Camp is loaded with resources and speed ups. So at the end, all three camps decided to push against Fire and kick them out of Kingsland, which made Fire Camp now say that Water Camp is betraying them and planned to kick them out behind the scene. What do you guys think of this? Who do you guys think really betrayed here? Do you think Water Camp should have just stood their ground and waited to see if Fire would betray them? Or was it a smart idea that they planned behind the scene with the other camps to push Fire Camp out and secure their star properly? I'm kinda conflicted on this one, but I generally think that all Fire Camp needed to do is answer that one question from the beginning, to reassure Water that they will not betray them, and just to let them know that this is just negotiation, no bullying tactics. Unfortunately, what's done is done, and now Fire Camp gets no rewards and Water Camp gets their star. Now then, this is the segment that you guys have been waiting for. This segment could potentially have had a crazy domino effect and could have been a crazy drama segment, but it didn't go through as planned. Essentially, following Mad Akiles' announcement to quit the game, a few players reached out to him to buy his account. In particular, somebody wanted to pay a bunch of money for his 60 GT account. He was offered $40,000 in crypto for that particular account. The condition to the $40 offer was that Akiles had only 1 day to accept the offer. The person offering this said he wanted to remain anonymous and that it's a one-time offer that he needed to accept in that instant. The only issue with this offer is that it happened during the crazy 60 GT versus 77 KVK in the Zone 5 war, which we all know has been super crazy so far. Now the thing is, Mad Akiles knows that $40,000 is way above the market price, and that deal just was too good to be true. The deal came just in the most suspicious timing, a timing where 60 GT and 2377 were still fighting in the Zone 5, and 60 GT just made their comeback in that Zone 5. Now, I don't want to throw accusations around because this could be serious, but could this have been a plan to sabotage the KVK? Imagine an account that strong, going around zeroing players in the starter zone, disrupting 60 GT's KVK. I bet it could have caused a bunch of internal problems. However, rest assured, Mad Akiles has directly told me that he's not willing to give up any of his accounts until after the KVK ends, and that he will continue to perform on the accounts until the very end. A very honorable man indeed. Now then, remember the previous betrayal segment? The one where Water Camp decided to ally with the enemy coalition to kick Fire Camp because they were scared of Fire Camp's potential betrayal? Now this is exactly the same story, but it's in KVK 2, where Kingdom 3596 is Fire Camp, and the camp is very strong. But they didn't get much fighting in their Zone 5, and their Kingsland they didn't get much fighting either. In this story, Kingdom 3598 is Water Camp, and the same situation has occurred, where they were targeted by the enemy kingdoms and eventually came out on top in terms of DKP. The same agreement was on the table. The star will be based off of DKP, but this time they placed some restrictions to some zones so that it's fair. The same scenario occurred where 3596 tried to pressure 3598 after they won the KVK, and the DKP was concluded to say that 3598 won the star. However, this time 3598 did not scheme to betray their allies. They just simply stood their ground to the initial agreement, and they said they didn't want to do any slimy behavior and talk behind their allies' back. They just told their allies they won the star fair and square. They won the DKP agreement and they're not going to budge. So instead, 3596 made the first move and betrayed their allies. Luckily this time, it was very clear that 3596 was actually betraying the kingdom, and the former enemy kingdoms in that KVK decided to help 3598 in this instance because they saw clear betrayal happening and wanted to make it right by being on the side of justice. This was the same scenario as the previous betrayal, but it was the what if situation that could have happened that made Water Camp quick to react and do a move behind the scenes. Anyways, that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been great to come back to uploading these types of videos. Like and comment to show your appreciation, and I'll see you guys on the next one.